cooked without a doubt. Holy shit. This week
Mm-hmm.
has been crazy, to say the least.
Oh, I bet.
Well, it's like, I'll give you the full offline story when we go off, but it's just been one fucking thing after another, and I'm just like, I'll just hold on and enjoy the ride. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been where
We're
my
just
brain's
holding on
at.
for dear life.
Oh yeah, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the cat that's like, don't give up, like the little like appreciation cats, like don't give up on yourself. You're gonna make it. I feel like that cat hanging on to the handlebars and just blowing in
Mm-hmm.
the wind.
Just hang in there.
Just hang in there, man.
I saw one of those posters at the dollar store.
I haven't seen one of those posters in ages. I feel like they're always either in dentist's office or like classrooms. There's no in between
Mm-hmm.
either. But yeah, no, that's kind of what's been going on over here. That and I've been trying to push an episode out. Let me dodge the rocks that are getting thrown at me real quick. I'm sorry. I got sucked into Delphine LaLaurie, and obviously we're not doing her tonight. We're going to do somebody else because, my God, there's a lot of paperwork to go through there and other things that I need to make sure to substantiate claims before we go in and actually talk about her. So have patience with me. She's coming. She's almost done. I'm into the hauntings now, okay? Y'all are getting spooky shit from me.
No,
All
no.
right? You're getting
It's
spooky
never
shit
ending,
from
isn't
me.
it?
Oh, it's never fucking ending. It is just a
Mm-hmm.
continuous shitstorm of epic
Are you
proportions.
gonna have a separate story time for like all the rumors and stuff that were spread about her instead of just?
Listen,
I'm
I've
sure
just
it
been
could be. It could be a whole new
incorporating that
episode.
shit as we've been going. Like, that's just been like, okay, best note this here so I don't forget it later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a whole spiral notebook filled with just Delphine LaLaurie's crime. Like, the
Yeah.
base of the story. I just started a new one on the hauntings because there's so much going on there too, and then you also got to take into consideration the people that own the house as well, and like what they experienced and what it was used for after her. And it's like, holy shit, there's just way too much history there. Way too much. So, that's been exciting. That's been like 2 months of my life. Like since I got back from New Orleans. That's what I've been doing is just digging into Delphine LaLaurie and watching Sarah's cat eat ice cream.
He's trying to figure out which is a popsicle stick and which is the actual ice cream. He's not sure.
I have the little like popsicle cups from well, they're not like popsicle cups. They're the Sunday cups. And Brina decided that she needed to come lick the vanilla one last night. And she looked at me with the most disgusted expression I've ever seen on that cat's face. Apparently, she does not like vanilla, but she full sent it.
That's that's funny. She's like, "Mom, let me try it," and you're like, "Okay."
She
This is
doesn't do
coconut
like the
flavored.
snarl when she's like upset with something, like you know the open mouth cat like look of like ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The stinky face.
Instead she like squints
Mm-hmm.
her eyes and wrinkles her nose. Mouth never opens. And she just looks at it like it wronged her in the worst possible way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, apparently she doesn't like vanilla ice cream, but she will steal dumplings from you along with eggs and anything else. Cheese. Cheese is her favorite. My God. I put cheese on my eggs this morning, turned my back for 2 seconds, and then I have no cheese on my eggs because my cat ate it. She looks
She's
so
just gonna
guilty
sneak
while
over and
doing
steal all
it
your
too.
cheese. Oh, I bet. She's like, I don't want to do it, but
I don't want
but
to
I
do it, but
have
it's
to.
here. I have to. It's
I have to eat
obligation.
cheese.
Ugh. Well, Sarah, you just started a new job. How's that going?
I'm doing 12 weeks of training before I can take clients. After it's kind of a shock after being uh in the business for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Going back to
I have a lot
training
of downtime.
standards. You're like, oh, I
Oh,
don't
it
know.
feels so slow too. I'm like,
Oh.
I don't even know how to be here.
You're
And the
over
thing
there
is, I
like,
look
I'm not
young.
the only person working anymore. I don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't think it helps that I look like everyone else that's kind of coming in that's like fresh out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a baby face. And so I think the rest of the trainers are like, oh yeah, she's one of them. And I'm like, oh no, I've been in the business for 5 years. And they're like, oh, when did you start? And I was like, when I was 22, back in 2019. They're like, that doesn't seem right. I
the head, the
was like,
head side
sorry,
tilt of,
sorry.
are you a vampire?
Hmm. I might be at this point.
I mean, you haven't really aged. Lucky you. I have my first wrinkles
I
showing
know.
up. I'm like, oh no. But at the same time, when I smile,
Yay.
I'm like, oh, I look like my Nana and my dad. I'm happy with that. I'm good with that.
Isn't that kind of cool seeing who you look like when you get older?
I really look like my Nana. I think 6 minutes of banter is gonna do us, guys. I hope that you're fucking ready on this whirlwind of epic proportions that we're about to go on. So hang tight through our disclaimers, and we'll be right back. While we understand that some individuals listen for the entertainment aspect of true crime, it's important to remember that these are real people with families and friends who may still be suffering from their loss. These stories are not meant to open old wounds or cause further emotional damage to those involved. We remind you to please be respectful and do not dox or contact those involved with cases. The cases discussed on this podcast may be disturbing to some listeners, and listener discretion is advised. Our trigger warnings for this case today are a minor is involved. I should say a minor. Multiple minors are involved. There is sexual assault. There is also domestic violence. Take with this what you want. Also, I think there's a suicide too, if I remember correctly. It's a whole Christmas tree of fucked up. So take with that what you will. If you're not in the right mental space to be hearing this, obviously, go listen to one of our calmer episodes, if we have any. I don't think we do.
No.
Go listen to some medieval torture. They're kind of calm.
It's as calm as it gets here, I think.
I think that is as calm as it gets here, to be perfectly
Mhm.
honest. So, today's case, we are looking at Bianca Noel Piper, who was born on December 26th of 1991. Bianca was the youngest of three daughters to Shannon Tanner and David Piper. Her two older sisters are Tiffany, who is 14 years old, and Amber, who is 17 years old. When Bianca was still just a toddler in 1993, her parents divorced, and David would move to Fredericktown, Missouri to work as a truck driver. At the age of 4, Bianca would begin to undergo psychiatric care and would be hospitalized multiple times for mental health issues. She was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, which is ADHD, and severe bipolar disorder, along with periodic anxiety attacks. Bianca also suffered with aggression and strong mood swings, which resulted in her at times feeling like she was out of control or even displaying a lack of control. From an outside perspective, Bianca looked and acted like a normal teenager. She loved the color purple, Barbies, horses, and was obsessed with Hilary Duff and wanted to one day become a singer. Bianca was an 8th grader at Winfield Middle School, and while she may look like your normal 13-year-old, due to her mental health issues along with her tardiness for her classes, it is believed that Bianca only had the mental capacity of a 2nd grader or a 6-year-old girl. Bianca also did not have the social skills needed to form close friendships and relationships. At school, she was enrolled in the special education program. Additionally, Bianca is on several different medications to help her from becoming disoriented and experiencing hallucinations throughout her day. One of the side effects for one of these prescriptions is weight gain. So Bianca weighed roughly 185 pounds and was around the height of 5 foot 6 inches, which is above average for her age. In October of 2004, Shannon had begun dating an individual named Jim Feltz, and eventually Shannon and the girls would move into his rural farmhouse in Foley, Missouri. The residence is located on McIntosh Hill Road near the small town of Foley in Lincoln County, Missouri, which is about 60 miles north of St. Louis, Missouri. At the time of this case, the family had been living in the Foley residence for about 5 months. Prior to that, the family lived in the town of Troy, Missouri. Now, Bianca had seen a number of mental health providers through the years as a prescribed health control treatment program. Within the program, one of Bianca's therapists recommended to Shannon that if Bianca began to feel like she was losing control, or if she was acting up or expressing anger management issues, to drive a distance down the road, drop Bianca off, and let her walk home. This would allow Bianca to physically work off her aggression. And the face you're making is the same face I made.
That's some Midwest advice right there. Oh, oh no, that hurts my feelings. That would be so shitty to do to a kid, I think. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like, honestly,
Like, all right, honey, get out of the car.
I'd be pretty fucked up if my mom
Mom
did
drove
that
12
to me.
miles.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes you to walk 3 miles?
For me, it's considering I can do
About an
2
hour.
miles swimming in about an hour.
Yeah.
And walking wise, probably could cover a little bit more, but about an hour for 3, I'd say, for walking. But yeah, I'm like, I get it because honestly, like, when it comes to my mental health, I know that swimming gets a lot of that like underlying anger out of me when I'm going, and it does help clear the mind. So I understand wanting to work things off. But anyways,
Even that's so different, but yeah.
it's different, but I understand the logic behind it. Like, yeah, let her physically work it off. And Shannon obviously was really reluctant to try this idea when living in Troy, as the town had more traffic to it, and she was concerned for Bianca's safety. In Foley, however, they were in a rural area with about 3 yards length between houses. So what I picture is kind of like where I live now, where it's like, yeah, I have my neighbors across the street, but like the closest ones to us are about a 10-minute walk. Like it's a little bit of a walk to get to your neighbors. Like, you're not going to see them immediately through like the vegetative state that is Missouri or Arkansas. They're there, but they're hidden. In Foley, like I said, this is a rural area and it has far less traffic, so Shannon's actually willing to give this idea a try. Now, on March 9th, Shannon had arrived home from work and was greeted by Bianca, who had packed a bag and stated that she wanted to go to the hospital because she felt like she was losing control. Now, this isn't exactly unusual, as Bianca has been hospitalized for several other occasions with her medication needing adjustments or simply needing to see a doctor to get kind of re-regulated before going home. So this isn't an out-of-pocket request. However, Shannon goes, you know what, let's try something else this evening. So she drives Bianca about a half mile down the gravel and dirt road of McIntosh Hill Road. And she left her there with the recommendation that she walk home to work off her aggression. After this, Shannon went back home and waited for Bianca to show up. And when she did, Bianca stated that she felt better and no longer wanted to go to the hospital. Bianca even agreed at this point that she'd like to try this method again if she ended up feeling like she was overwhelmed or losing control, and ultimately, they all ended up having a good evening. Now, the following evening of March 10th of 2005, Bianca got into an argument with her older sister Tiffany about not wanting to do the dishes, which this dissolved into a temper tantrum. Since the technique of Bianca working off her aggression before worked so well, Shannon decided to use this method again. At this time, Shannon took Bianca down McIntosh Hill Road and dropped her off a full mile away from the residence. Dropping Bianca off by a bridge that ran over the upper Sandy Creek, like wash area, like a little creek that goes by. Shannon again recommended to Bianca that she walk home and gave her a flashlight this time in case it got dark and she needed help finding her way. Shannon stated that after dropping Bianca off, she pulled into a driveway down the road to wait and see if Bianca was going in the right direction. She recalls a green sports utility vehicle passed by Bianca, which had her going back to check on Bianca and advise her to not take rides from strangers. Shannon last saw Bianca at 6:15 p.m. She was dressed in a lime green blouse, gray Adidas hoodie, blue jeans, and a white pair of sneakers before she left and went home to make dinner. Shannon figured that Bianca would have made it home in about 20 minutes. But according to other sources, she started getting worried around 10 to 15 minutes when Bianca hadn't returned home. Shannon went back out for a drive to search for Bianca, and when she was unable to locate the 13-year-old, she returned home to get Jim to assist her in searching. The couple went door to door asking if anyone in the surrounding neighborhood had seen Bianca, but nobody seemed to know where she was. She was simply gone. After 2 hours of searching for Bianca on their own, Shannon called law enforcement at 8:20 and reported her daughter missing. Lincoln County Sheriff's Department originally presumed that Bianca had gotten lost or wandered off. However, their main concern was the dropping temperature, as it's growing dark and the temperature is dropping below freezing at this point, which could easily lead to Bianca succumbing to exposure. Additionally, Bianca is not in possession of her medication at the time, and it's very possible that she may have become disoriented if she went too long without her scheduled dose. There is an extensive search that takes place with nearly 270 miles encompassing the area of where Bianca was last seen being thoroughly searched. There were helicopters, people on foot, people on horseback, dogs, and hundreds of other volunteers looking for the missing girl.
Okay, so first time, before the kid really ended up in psychosis, which I'm sure is exacerbated by like her going through puberty and stuff, being 13. It dropped her off. She walked home. She was like, "Oh, I actually feel better." But then they take her. Well, she's probably going through it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Let's just drop her off and let her walk home again." And it doesn't go well. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you look at like Reddit forums and things like that, you'll see a lot of like the finger getting pointed towards Shannon. And
I mean,
I'm not defending her.
She was just trying to be a good mom, but
I
still.
think she may have taken the directions from the therapist incorrectly. Like, let her walk off the aggression, but don't leave her alone. Like, the unspoken parts of that treatment plan. Like, oh yeah, let her go for a walk and work off her aggression by herself. But it's like, obviously, you need to kind of stay in, like, eye shot to see what's going on and monitor.
Yeah, I mean, well, her daughter couldn't have been more than a mile away. But at the same time, I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure she was just trying to be a good mom. And, like, it is easy to point the finger at her because, like, that was stupid. Like, your daughter's struggling and you just kind of let her wander off on her own, like, in the middle of something bad going on. But, she's just trying to be a good mom. It just didn't work out in the worst way possible, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand with that, too. I'm like, I think she was really trying to just be a good mom and help her, and that's unfortunately not what happened that night. So there were a couple of moments during the search where officials thought they may have found something, but most of those alerts were false, and in the end, there was no trace of Bianca anywhere. Since Bianca had no prior history of running away from home, investigators began to theorize that Bianca may be the victim of child abduction. Now, Bianca is considering missing and endangered at this point, and presumably an Amber Alert is put out at this time for her. Shannon and Jim were extensively interviewed for several hours and given polygraph tests, which both of them did manage to pass. David, Bianca's father, was living nearly 125 miles away in Frederickstown at the time and was also extensively interviewed and investigated. It's important for me to note here that law enforcement has never publicly stated their interest in Bianca's family as suspects. Following the disappearance, in March, Carol Studd of Carrington Memorial Foundation offered up a $5,000 reward for information on Bianca Noel Piper's disappearance. And shortly after, the family would follow up with another $5,000 leading to Bianca's return. In May of 2005, police responded to a domestic dispute between Shannon and Jim, which would lead to Shannon filing a complaint as well as a restraining order against Jim. However, the couple would reconcile and continue living at the Foley residence shortly after. On June 25th of 2005, another call would be placed to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department for a noise complaint coming from the Foley residence. So, dispatch sends off officers to the scene to see what's up, expecting just possibly another domestic dispute. Now, depending on what source you go with, it is either Tiffany or Amber who are involved in this domestic dispute, but because they're not thorough on which one it was, we're simply going to label this individual as the daughter or girl. So when law enforcement arrives at the Foley residence, Shannon is on top of her daughter, holding her face down to the ground, and immediately law enforcement notice a large bump on the girl's head. According to reports, the daughter involved suffered from mental health issues similar to Bianca, with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia being the primary two, and she'd stopped taking her medication at the time that this occurred. As a result of this, an altercation had occurred where Shannon reportedly needed to keep the girl from harming herself, and she'd taken a hot curling iron from the girl's hands before striking it over her head and punching her. Yeah, I'm like, kind of anti-productive there, if you're trying to keep her from harming herself.
Like, let mom do it. Bam.
Bam. So Shannon then apparently threatened to lock her daughter in her bedroom and tie her up. And the daughter involved attempted to grab the phone and call 911, which ended with Shannon ripping the phone off the wall. So Shannon was placed under arrest for a domestic dispute, and during her arrest, she cried out that her daughter had started the whole dispute by throwing a glass dish at her. She then decided that it's a good idea to go try to grab one of the broken pieces of glass to show authorities, and she ends up shoving one of the deputies out of the way when he says, "No, don't do that." It ends with her being tased into compliance.
Oh no. I can't imagine anything worse.
Mm-hmm. Shannon was...
How old are these kids that she has diagnosed with like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder?
So Bianca's 13, Tiffany is 14, and Amber, I believe, is 17 at the time.
Okay. Is this like early 2000s?
This is 2005.
Okay, that kind of tracks with what was going on with like doctors and stuff for that time period. They were very into, this is what it is. We have a pill for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, because I don't know. But that still seems really young for those kinds of diagnoses.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if they want to like treat it, and if they need the diagnosis to treat it, but that seems so young for schizophrenia too.
Yeah. I mean, my question is that obviously I presume that there's a family history, so maybe they were just trying to get ahead of it before it starts going
that
really
makes
bad.
sense.
So Shannon was charged with domestic assault and released on a $25,000 bond, but ultimately she pled guilty of the charge in October of that year, receiving a sentence of 2 years probation with conditions of no contact with her daughter during that time period. During this time, the other daughter, be that Tiffany or Amber, the one that wasn't involved with the fight, depending on what source you go with, was removed from the home and taken to live with her maternal grandmother at the time. Investigators
Yay.
don't believe that the domestic dispute had anything to do with Bianca's disappearance. It's just unfortunate that it happened so soon after. In 2007, a multi-jurisdictional task force was formed to investigate 41-year-old kidnapper and sexual abuser Michael John Devlin, questioning his possible involvement with other missing children in Missouri. This task force was looking over Bianca's case as well as the cases of Charles Henderson, age 11 years old, who had disappeared in 1988 from St. Charles, Missouri, and Scott Cleshute, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that name, age 9 years old, and he disappeared from Moscow Mills, Missouri in 1991. So Devlin lived in Kirkwood, which is a western suburb in St. Louis, Missouri. And on January 12th of 2007, he was arrested and charged with the abduction of 13-year-old William Omby, or Ben. Ben had gone missing from the community of Beaufort, Missouri, nearly 4 days prior. He was found alive playing video games in Devlin's apartment, but more shockingly, he was found playing games with a boy that had been missing for over 4 years. On October 6th of 2002, Sean Hornbeck was 11 years old and riding his bicycle to his friend's house in the community of Richwoods, Missouri, when he vanished without a trace. Devlin had captured Sean and held him captive for 4 years, while sexually abusing the young boy and passing him off as his own son. He noted the main reason for abducting Ben was because he felt like Sean was getting too old for him, and he wanted a boy with a more youthful appearance.
Oh, that's gross.
Vile. Vile. The two boys were reunited with their families, and Devlin went on to plead guilty of kidnapping and child molestation, among various other charges, including child pornography distribution. He received 74 life sentences for his various criminal acts and 4,240 years in prison, which he is still currently serving, obviously, at Western Missouri Correctional Center in Cameron, Missouri. So, following Sean's disappearance, his parents, Craig and Pam Akers, became active with looking for their son, forming the nonprofit organization to help search and rescue abducted children. In the days following Bianca's abduction, Pam would personally reach out to Shannon, offering her words of encouragement and condolences as somebody who is walking the same position as her. When Ben went missing, similar to Pam, Shannon reached out to his family personally and gave them a care package, hoping to assist them the way that Pam had done for her. Now, the task force that was formed had been looking into rumors regarding Devlin's observing and participating in the search efforts for Bianca, with the idea of being able to pick up on tips to avoid authorities and evade law enforcement in the future. So, if that rumor is true, obviously a little scary, because now he's escalating his crimes of how could I get away with possibly getting rid of somebody. Like, what are these people looking for? That's insanely fucking alarming. This alleged connection did allow for Bianca's case to be brought back to the spotlight, and it helped to generate some leads, but ultimately none of these leads really pan out or go anywhere. However, authorities have been able to rule out Devlin's involvement, as all of his known victims have been young boys. Additionally, It's never been conclusively proven if he's murdered anyone. So, just putting that out there as well. In June of 2009, David Piper unfortunately suffered a fatal heart attack at the age of 51 years old. It was believed to be brought on by the stress of his daughter's disappearance, and unfortunately, he did pass away. Shannon eventually left the Foley residence and moved into an apartment in St. Charles with her daughter Tiffany, who had recently given birth to a baby girl. Additionally, in 2009, a tip comes forward to law enforcement from a previous neighbor of the Foley residence. There was a rumor circulating that a white pickup truck had been seen near a pond on a neighboring property the day Bianca went missing. This neighbor initially thought nothing of it, but that changed when Tiffany made a chilling remark in 2009. My sister was in that pond. Obviously, this changed the neighbor's reaction, and she contacted law enforcement to submit a tip. Unfortunately, though, nothing ever comes of this tip. I don't know if it was
It's
followed
probably
up
been
on.
way too long.
Yeah.
It's like years after. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what all they can do at that point. The fact that it's like she was in that pond, if that is a fact at all, if it's just something dark that's being said by another teenager, you don't know. But you don't really have much to test at that point. You could obviously kind of check the pond and see if there's anything in it, but if she's been moved, it's presumed that she's not there anymore. So, in July of 2010, another name came across law enforcement's radar. One Paul Stephen Smith, who'd served time in prison for the sodomy of a 10-year-old boy. He had made a reappearance in the news after abducting a young girl from a residential yard. Depending on the source you go with, Alyssa Merrier, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, was either 4 years old or 8 years old when she was abducted while playing in a residential front yard in Louisiana, Missouri. Following this event, Alyssa was dropped off at a car wash, seemingly unharmed, and then law enforcement linked Smith to the case, and they were very quick to go question him. Unfortunately, this questioning did not go well, and it ended with Smith committing suicide by a gunshot wound to the head. Following his death, they were looking into him for possible involvement with Bianca's case. However, nothing has ever linked the two together. In June of 2012, Tiffany, who was a 22-year-old at this time, was charged with sexually trafficking 2 minors with an associate, 33-year-old Demonde. The two had paid to 17-year-old teenage girls to perform sexual acts with adult men for money. Demond and Tiffany provided the girls with a hotel room at St. Peter's Extended Stay America, condoms, marijuana, and they posted ads on adult services websites, as well as giving the two instructions on how to engage with sex work. In the time of roughly 2 weeks, the girls had performed sexual acts for anywhere between 10 to 20 adult men.
Gross.
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 I'm like,
That's not upsetting information, not even a little bit.
The way when I came
God.
into this case, I was like, it's just some missing persons. It can't be super complicated. I mean,
This
usually
has
they
just completely
are.
fallen into like the craziest parts of like
This is not what I was expecting
yeah.
at all. And it's not even to the peak yet. Like, we're at the top of the iceberg. We haven't really dug down yet. No.
This is just grazing the top of like where she could be and what could have happened.
Yeah,
Like
this is just grazing the surface.
this is what happens when like young girls go missing and it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
None of it's good. Yeah.
None of it's good. So in April of 2014, Demond agreed to plead guilty to the charges of promoting prostitution, marijuana possession, and marijuana distribution, and received a sentence of 5 years in prison. Let's just let that sink in for a moment. Only 5 years.
It's enough time for him to lose street cred, and they kick him back out.
In September of 2014, Tiffany appeared at Clear County Circuit Court, where she pleaded guilty to 2 counts of promoting prostitution and received a sentence of 8 years in prison. Now, Tim Lomar of the Charles County Prosecutor's Office stated that there was more evidence stacked against Tiffany in this case. That's why she got a longer sentence. And noted how these types of cases have different roles that offenders play in the organization, because technically it does kind of fall underneath that organized crime. So Tiffany's role was more the enforcer of the business. She had direct contact with the girls and the customers, organizing meetings and placing ads online inviting men to have sex with teenage girls for a price. Tiffany also reported that she was a victim of sexual trafficking herself shortly after Bianca's disappearance. However, she has never named the individuals who trafficked her. Tiffany does have a profile with the sex offenders registry, and she was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but there is paperwork showing her signing a lease on June 1st of 2015. Some people have theorized that she may have had an early release out of sympathy for her past trauma and being sexually trafficked.
I get it.
It's
But
not uncommon to see a victim turn offender. It's really not.
yeah, well, oh yeah, in that business, easily, I think, because eventually it just becomes normal, and then that's how you kind of get out of what I would think would be the worst of it. Is you rise above the others, and then you push them down. Right? Yeah, I think that whole industry is like, well, don't know if I should call it an industry. That whole syndicate is like, I don't know. It's not like someone just gets abducted and then they're like forced to do things and they're like screaming hysterically while that happens. It's like they could just get a message on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever. Just like, hey, me and my friends think you're cool.
You want to hang
Oh
out
my
and do
gosh, a
this?
teenager? Yeah. Yeah. And then like, they were like, oh yeah, we have weed. Oh yeah, if you do
Yeah.
this, I'll give you more free weed. And some people are like easy, and then they want to be high on weed because they're like 16 or whatever. But yeah, and then stuff like that starts happening, and it's just a spiral down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nasty, dirty drain that you don't want to fall into ever.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No.
And there are cases, like of course, where kids are abducted, but
Yeah.
it's all terrifying.
It's it's all horrifying. I feel bad because I'm a little bit numb at this point because we're not even done with the sex offending. We're not.
This is still the iceberg. It's
It's
still the
still
top.
tip of the iceberg, people. We got a couple more pages to go. There's 21 pages of
Hmm.
this. Once again, investigators do not believe that this has anything to do with Bianca's disappearance, Tiffany's sexual trafficking, and the sexual trafficking in general. They don't believe that that's what happened with Bianca. So, to mark the 10th anniversary of Bianca's disappearance in 2015, electric billboards on I 70 as well as Highway 370 in St. Charles were put up by DDI Media. Additionally, interviews were held for both the 10th and the 13th year anniversaries with the family through many media outlets, in which Shannon described how she would initially request for Bianca to have basically an age enhancement photo done every single year and it be circulated. However, the reminder that Bianca was gone and she was watching her daughter grow up physically without her being there was too gut wrenching and she had to stop requesting them.
Mm.
She also goes on to mention how she recognizes that she made a very, very, very poor choice with dropping her off to walk home and not staying with her. Shannon does try to continue to advocate for her daughter's disappearance regularly, and every year on the anniversary, they attempt to pass out flyers. However, sometimes all they can do is just grieve. Tiffany reflects on her last words to her sister, which were, "Thanks a lot. Now I'm going to have to finish up all your chores." And looking back on it, it all seems silly. What she really should have said was, "I love you." During her interview, she disclosed how she's now the mother of 2 children and was sad that Bianca wasn't a part of their lives and she was missing out on key moments. Now, in 2019, another person comes onto police's radar when a cold case is solved. But let's go back and we're going to look at that case just as like a brief overview real quick. So 9-year-old Angela Marie Hausman went missing on a walk home from school on November 9th of 1993. She was last seen departing from the school bus. 9 days later, her body was discovered by a hunter tied to a tree in the Bush Wildlife Conservation Area, and it's theorized that she was tied there and left to die of exposure. An autopsy later reported that Angela had been kept alive for almost a week, with her abductor torturing and raping her in those days before tying her to a tree and leaving her to die. In March of 2019, a crime lab reviewed some DNA found in Angela's underwear, running it through the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, and they got a hit. This hit went back to 61-year-old Earl Webster Cox, who at the time of Angela's murder had been residing in a house 3 blocks away from her school with his own family.
That is a terrible name.
Right?
For someone who's looking to commit those crimes.
Right? I'm like, that is a doozy of a fucking name there, dude.
Oh, no.
That has all the makings of a fucking serial killer right there if I've ever seen it. Like, it's the 3 strong name bullshit. John Wayne Gacy. Fucking Ted Theodore Bundy. Earl Webster
It feels like satire.
Like, as soon as I saw that name, I'm like, oh no. It's okay. We're starting to get below the surface of the iceberg now, okay? We're coming into the deep shit. So, Cox had been charged with sexual assault on minors previously. And it's presumed his serial sexual assaults started while he was stationed in Germany with the United States Air Force. On June 5th of 2019, Earl Webster Cox was charged with the murder, kidnapping, and sodomy of Angela. He is currently serving a life sentence. There is speculation, though, that Cox may have been involved with Bianca's disappearance, and it's noted that her DNA is on file for testing should her body ever be discovered. So basically, there's a note saying, like, test her for his DNA if we find her.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there's not much else on that side. In 2021, Lincoln County Sheriff Harold, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, or Henley, it might be Henley. I think I saw his name on NamUs, but my apologies if I mispronounced your name. He announces that the department was implementing a cold case unit and that Bianca's case would be reviewed by it. Now, one of the best ways to crack a cold case is getting fresh eyes and a new unbiased perspective on it. We all kind of know this. In February of 2023, a property search was performed at the Foley residence, which involved the draining of a septic tank on the property, but nothing was found. When asked why, investigators said it was a box that they needed to check off. So I'm presuming they got a tip about possibly a body being in the septic system. And they went, okay, let's go see real quick. There was nothing from what I found. From what I saw, there was nothing
I
in the
guess that's
septic tank,
good.
which is good.
Maybe.
I guess that's good. You don't have Billy Bones in your septic tank over here, do you? Ugh. Now, law enforcement has never stated publicly that they believe that her family was involved with her disappearance. And they may have information that makes them certain of this, or they may be simply keeping their suspicions close to the chest. Investigators do believe that Bianca was abducted, and someone managed to do it without leaving behind evidence whatsoever, which has made things incredibly difficult for authorities to work with, and is probably why they're looking into every angle and sex offender they can. Now, Sarah, are you ready to dive below the iceberg? Because midway through
I guess so.
researching this, I'm like, I usually have like a pretty good idea where I pick cases up from, which is surprising because I got the brain of a squirrel after a long winter's nap. But I do tend to kind of remember where I grabbed them from, be that social media or other cases. So I thought, where did I get her name from? And I know that I've said this name on the show before, I just can't place it. So into my little file of workings I go, and I look up her name, and guess what comes back?
Hmm.
In nearly another 100-page document for Israel Keys.
No. I
Bianca's
was
name
thinking about
is
him
in the
today.
list.
No. Oh my God. So he was, is it like one of those things where he was in the area when she went missing and that's why she's on the list? Or is it just like they're like, slap all another missing persons because he was active during this time
I mean,
period?
he was active during this time period, but she's on his list that he had on his computer. Like, this is his own list
Oh,
that he put
okay.
together. That's, I'm like, I got the head tilt. I'm like, I had to bounce ideas with my mom real quick before I came on here because I was just finishing this up. But going back through my work, like I said, I found her name. So everybody put on your conspiracy theorist hats. We're going to dive down a rabbit hole together. So
Get the 10.
get the tinfoil hat with me. Let's go. So, as we know, Israel Keys was arrested in 2012 after the murder of Samantha Koenig. From there, he divulged to authorities that there is no one who knows me or has ever really known me. I am two different people, and the only person who knows about what I'm telling you is me. It's theorized by the FBI that he has murdered 11 people at minimum. However, other investigators believe that the number is far higher than that. So, why are we talking about him here? When Israel's computer was confiscated by authorities and forensic digital experts went through it, there were names upon names of missing persons cases on his computer, including some that were just numbers. Bianca Noel Piper is one of those names. So I went back and revisited the travel records of Israel Keys for March of 2005. According to the FBI's release of information on this case on March 1st of 2005, Israel took a day canoe trip to an unspecified lake. He'd also been spotted camping at a location accessible by boat only in Washington State. So on the 1st, he's in Washington State, probably getting up to nothing good considering he goes dark after this, and doesn't resurface until March 12th of 2005. Once again, on a day canoe trip at an unspecified lake. He'd apparently also visited Hoko River in northwest Washington, and his truck was seen parked in the vicinity. Now, when we look at this timeline, I do believe that Israel went dark because the motherfucker was up to something. Probably nothing good. It's never anything good. However, when looking at the timeline, I don't think it was something to do with Bianca. However, we're going to put it out there just in case nobody has pieced this together. But when I looked at
So he was in Washington
on the
and then he
first,
left, and then two
then he
days after
goes,
she goes missing, he's back in Washington.
which gives him an alibi to set up with, which is common for
I mean,
Israel to
yeah,
do.
2 days. I mean, you could drive that far in 2 days, but
Oh yeah, like it's a 34-hour long trip according to Google to go from Nia Bay down to Foley, Missouri.
I guess if he really wanted to, he could.
He
Is kind of just what that means.
he has the time, and that's not even accounting for my mom brought up the fact of like he could have flown too. I'm like, well, they would have checked his ID. And I'm like, fake ID. He could have just gotten a
Didn't he have a ton of fake IDs?
Mm-hmm. He
Yeah.
could have just gotten a fake ID, paid in cash, and there's no trace. Absolutely no trace of him. So, does he have the time to make the fucking trip down to Missouri? Absolutely. If he drives, he'll make it. If he flies, he'll make it. However, I did note that like the time frame for him coming back on the 12th, if he wasn't flying, it would be kind of a time crunch for him to be spotted back on the 12th at a day canoe trip at an unspecified lake, and then also at the Hokoi River in northwestern Washington. So,
Well, they just spotted his truck.
Yeah. But if he drove, he would have
he
taken
not?
his truck too. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I'm like, I don't know if it has anything to do with Bianca. However, I also did put into consideration that she is 5'6" and she's 185 pounds. My mom likes to fight the side of like Israel absolutely did nothing to children. I kind of sit on the fence of like maybe he did, and especially like in Bianca's case, she would have looked like an older woman. And looking at some of her photos,
Like someone in their 20s, yeah.
She doesn't necessarily look like your standard teenage girl. She's larger and she's bulkier. She looks like a more early 20s woman.
I would put her at, I mean, somewhere between the ages of 15 and 25. I wouldn't put her at 13 or 14.
I wouldn't put her at 13 or 14 looking at her picture.
No.
So,
no. Which I'm terrible at guessing ages. That's why I don't do it. Like,
but yeah, I'm like, I'm looking at this. So I'm like, did he have the time to do it? Absolutely. The likelihood that he did, probably not so much. Considering he's over in Nia Bay fucking around, and that undisclosed lake is likely Crescent Lake because he fucking loved that one. I'm going to say he was probably doing something else over there, including the fact that he goes on to make the purchase for his boat at Port Angeles about a week later. I think he maybe was doing something out there. Like, I put in the little pinpoint of, like, maybe he had somebody in the canoe with him, and he took them out to that island, knows nobody else is going to be out there, let them loose, and then hunted them. That doesn't sound outside of the realm of possibility for Israel.
oh, like she was still...
Not Bianca, but like somebody else. He's up to something.
Oh, okay.
He's up to something. We know that.
Okay.
Because he's gone dark, but I don't think that he left the state of Washington. I think he's still there. If he left the state of Washington and went all the way to Missouri, I would be surprised. However, that's 10 days prior to her disappearance. If she leave, 9. Yeah, if he leaves the evening of the 1st, but he was spotted camping, so I presume he would leave the morning of the 2nd if he was going to fly somewhere. He's got ample time to fuck around and get his shit done with planting kill buckets or maybe digging one up and then going and grabbing a vehicle and coming back and doing something else. One of the big things I think if Israel were to be involved with this is looking around that time period in locations nearby Foley and looking to see if there's bank robberies or fires or other mayhem going on. because he liked to stir the hornet's nest and then do the other thing and become the serial killer that we all know who he is. That's just how he works. Now, if there's something like that going on, which I didn't have a chance to look up before we recorded, if there's something like that going on, I would definitely put my aim more towards Israel with being involved with this.
Well, if there's like a fire or something, or a
Yeah,
robbery,
a
or
robbery, abandoned
a
buildings burning
break-in.
down, break-ins are happening. Something else that makes you go, huh, that was a distraction of like, look it over here, look it over here, look it over here, while he goes and does something else somewhere else. Because that's usually what he does.
Distraction.
Distraction. But looking at the time frame, he absolutely has the opportunity to do it. Did he, though? I don't think so. I think it's more likely that
Why was her name on his computer?
He may
Like,
have been
that's-
interested, just curious. He did that a lot, considering Daniel Barter, who disappeared in like 1962, which would have been before his birth. He's on the computer too. So it could have just been a case he was interested in following.
Probably because she hadn't turned up. And she didn't turn up for a long time. It's his research for his own crimes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, she also disappeared without a trace. Like, there's little to no evidence left behind. I'd be kind of like, huh. If I was Israel, I'd be going, huh, that's weird. That's a little too much like me. Wonder if there's somebody else over there doing that shit.
Interesting. That could also very, very much so be why he was looking. I feel like it's not often that people disappear without a trace at
There's
all.
always something.
Especially when they're 20 minutes away from help. Well, maybe.
There's usually something, especially with an abduction.
A shoe. It's
shoe.
usually family members. If it's not a family member, I feel like that's
She also had a
definitely super
flashlight
weird.
with her too, and they never found that. Like, she's just gone. And Locard's principle of exchange says that there should be something there, but there's not. Or they just haven't found it.
Do you think that she just wandered into the dense woods of the Ozarks?
That's a very likely possibility, and because I think it's the Mississippi River runs through there, like down to Mississippi. Like, there's a big river nearby, I know that. She could have wandered off and accidentally just slipped and fell into the river. Granted, it does sound like that river was searched by authorities and nothing turned up, according to The Trail Went Cold, which we're going to give Robin a big fucking shout out because he's fucking amazing, and thank you for your research. You saved me so much time. But it's possible that she could have been just an accidental death and she hasn't been found. It is possible. However, the police seem to really think that she was taken, which leads me to believe that they might have evidence, but there's just not that much.
If it was accidental, I still feel like there might be evidence somewhere that they would have come across.
Like, signs of a struggle.
Also, there's like
drop. Something else is going on.
Ripped fabric, lost shoes, like I don't know, bloodstains on a tree or a rock.
Yeah,
she fell. Oops.
But yeah, no, just there's nothing there, which I'm like, that does kind of fit the Israel Keys profile. And like I said, it might not have been him, but she might be on the list because he went, that's a little too much like me. And now I'm curious.
So we have everything from like organized crime to that one psycho guy.
I'm just like, the way that this just
falling.
kept spiraling and spiraling and spiraling, I'm like, oh my God. And I haven't even touched on Israel yet. Anyways, Bianca has been missing since the evening of March 10th of 2005. And regardless of all these theories that we ran through and theories that you find online, Bianca is still a missing person. in an active Amber Alert to this day. And while there are some really crazy theories out there, if you get digging, going as far as like to speculate her mother killing her or her sister selling her off for sex trafficking or abduction and murder by serial killers, I think we can all agree that Bianca deserves closure and her family deserves closure. So, before we go, I'm going to go ahead and list off Bianca Noel Piper's credentials and physical appearance regarding this case. So, Bianca Noel Piper is female. Her ethnicity is white or Caucasian. Her height is 5 foot 6 inches tall. Her weight is 185 pounds. Her hair color is brown. Her eye color is brown. Last date of contact was March 10th of 2005. She is missing from Foley, Missouri. She was 13 years old at the time of her disappearance, and her current age would be 33 years old. Bianca has pierced ears. She also has scars on her arms and legs and a scar on her abdomen. She was last seen wearing blue jeans and a gray Adidas sweatshirt with a pair of white sneakers. Her nameless profile number is MP4242, and her NCMEC number is 1009521. If you or anyone you know has any information regarding the disappearance of Bianca Noel Piper, you are asked to contact the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office at 636-528-6100. That number again is 636-528-6100. Thank you again for listening to Spattered. Please make sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram at Spattered Podcast and on X at Spattered Pod. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to be notified when the show goes live or drops a video. As always, if you have a case request, any questions, or are interested in sponsoring the show, please email me at spatteredpodcast@gmail.com. Spattered is a true crime podcast hosted by Caitlin Gardner and Sarah Ray. The research and edits for this episode were done by Caitlin Gardner. All the music for the show was done by Lucio Cardenas. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. And remember, the truth is always in the blood.